Okay. So
Yes.
HIV and Black women in the South. There are three persons or three entities that I'm working with. One is Emilio Under My Skin. The next is, and let me move it over so I can read it. It is the HIV intervention. If you can see the logo and the name, it's HIV vaccines that we're working with. And then, of course, I am that little left there with all of the many colors, speaking in the key of we. Moving on. Let's see here. Are we gonna hit the return? So I gotta see where, here we go. Next slide. I wanted to share with us what these numbers look like. So here we're looking at the prevalence for Black and non-Hispanic women per 100,000. If we look at the age category, we see that between the ages of 13 to 24, 54% or 54 per 100,000 are exposed to the HIV virus. And I'm just going to have you take a look because you are able to read, but the number that I want you to pay the closest attention to is that 55 plus number. 849 per 100,000 Black women are exposed to HIV. That's 44.3% of that age, and then 33.5% of that population. That's frightening. And just the second highest number is the 35 to 44-year-old population. And you might ask yourself, why does that number look so high? And I'm going to just keep on talking. I'm giving you all the statistics you see here. Numbers 37.2%. 16.9%, but the two highest numbers are 45 to 54 and 55 plus. And why those numbers are so high is that Black women are engaging in heterosexual behavior. And so they may be involved with partners who either know that they are HIV positive and not sharing, or that they do not know. And so those numbers are alarming because no one is talking, no one is taking the initiative to be tested. And I'm gonna roll back a slide here if maybe I better not because I might mess up. So we'll just leave it right there. So why this is important is that we need to have the necessary education to let our community know that engaging in healthy sexual behavior means being tested and being honest to share with your partners, right? And so that's something that we don't do. In addition to that, as when Emilio comes up, we talk about stigma. We know that the church, particularly the Black church, the last word that you will hear in the church with ease and comfort is talking about sex and sexuality and the human body. And so as long as we continue to shy away from having those kinds of conversations, the conversation is never going to come up in church, because the church considers that the only way to engage in sexual activity, one, you must be married, and that it must be between husband and wife. But we've been on the planet long enough to know that as long as we're human and long as there is an attraction for one another, sexual behaviors are going to be involved. And once again, because this is focused on Black women, we want to share with you that those numbers are increasingly high because of the heterosexual relationships and not because of same gender loving relationships. Having drug use, that number is very small. It's about 16% of persons contracting the virus from that way. And then I wanted to talk about what are some of the determinants that we encounter. And some of those determinants are education, income inequality, housing insecurity, lack of insurance. And I also say quality of insurance, because you may have insurance, but you may not be able to use your insurance for the necessary testing or the treatment if you are diagnosed with HIV. Unemployment factors. Unemployment factors impacts all of the above, your income inequality, your housing insecurity, as well as not having insurance. And right below that, it impacts how you're able to have food. And you say, well, how is food insecurity a factor? Well, if you're diagnosed with HIV, the virus, and you have a multitude of medication to take, and that medication requires you to have a good quality of food, that's going to impact. We talk about being unhoused. When you're living in environments where you're not able to maintain your medication, keep it cold, refrigerate it if refrigeration is necessary. So being unhoused creates a lot of problems. And if you're unhoused, likely and maybe you could be unemployed, or you could have an income deficit, which means that you don't have enough money to take care of your providing your medication. And I think I did, okay, I did do that. Let's go forward. And so what are the facts? I mentioned the facts earlier. 13.9% Black women are living with HIV. 86.1% HIV is contracted while in heterosexual relationships. And I'm sorry, that number was 13.4. 13.4% will contract the virus through intravenous drugs injection. And what the facts don't talk about, and we don't talk about, and the Black church won't talk about, is that trans women are more at risk. And they are at risk for those same determinants, but at a higher degree. And so what are some of the solutions? Well, we said education was a determinant, but education is also the solution. By having the training and awareness, like the program that I was in and Emilio came to share his artwork with, it was a year-long project that Wake Forest engaged in, educating the clergy, the ministers, the imams, providing us with tools that we could take back to our various congregations and organizations. The expansion of Medicaid, that may not be important in in California, but it is certainly important within the southern states and within North Carolina in particular. Now, we have been celebrating the expansion of Medicaid, but that expansion comes with a price. And so there are still persons who are not receiving the Medicaid so that they can go and be tested and receive the medications that they may need. And I say premium health care because there is a difference between just having access. But when you have premium health care, then for me, you are getting the A+ medication. You may be able to receive the cocktail that doesn't require you having food to when you digest it. It may require taking less medication, and it may have less side effects. We do know, let's be clear, that medication comes on a ABCD scale as well. And then being able to have easier access to testing as well as the treatment and the medication, which rolls right back into why having healthcare is important. Community engagement. As often as we can, those of us who are now trained to go into communities, we need to make ourselves available for educational opportunities to get the word out so that women, especially between those two age groups, that you may not feel yourself as having to be concerned, having this information will shed some light for you. And then the resources, being able to have access to the resources so that you can read for yourself the importance of having this awareness. And then being able to know that yes, even if you are HIV positive, you can still have an excellent quality of life. And I think I'm at the point where my dear friend, Emilio, Under My Skin, is ready to provide you with creative approaches. And once we have completed both of our presentations, we will be available to answer any questions that you may have. Emilio, take it away.
Absolutely. Thank you, Reverend Glencie. So I am going to share my screen, but while I am doing this, I just want to thank everyone who is participating here today. And also, I want to thank very much to the California Institute of Integral Studies, CIIS. And I want to thank especially them because putting together 29 of blackness is definitely an important action because we are educated, we are sharing so many tips in how to reduce the HIV infection, but putting an event for the whole month is not easy. And this information and education that we are sharing today is so important for people to see it, to understand. And with a space like this, provided by CIS and 29 Days of Blackness, is so important. So thank you so much for allowing me, for giving the opportunity to share the way or my way to educate people in this matter in HIV um, in the Black community. I do HIV awareness and HIV prevention for many reasons. And one reason is I am a person who is living with HIV, and it's not easy for us to approach others when they don't know or they don't understand this illness, this human condition. And it's not easy also because the stigma associated with this disease is, I guess you hear the music in the background, no? So this presentation that you are looking at now is a presentation that I developed and design and implement working with faith communities. And I use art because the topic of HIV is a topic that involves sexuality. And talk about sexuality is not easy for anyone, and it's more complicated when we are talking with faith community, with the church, in the Black church also. I I am a brown individual. I am a Latino individual, but my culture also is very tied with the African American culture in Colombia. I am originally from Colombia. My grandmother, for my mother's side, is a Colombian, African, Afro-Colombian, we call over there. Here in the United States, we call African American, we call it Afro-Colombian. And I know the way women in the African American when the Black community are treated. I understand because I saw and I continue seeing that treatment in the work that I do in HIV because I get interested in the HIV arena because my health condition, but I come back to the university and I was able to get a master's degree in education and guidance counselor and work as a counselor for HIV. And mostly my target population in my work is African American individuals and people from the Latinx community.